My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017, and that's where the pathway changed in my life, that God got a hold of me. And she made a decision because she was stage 3 breast cancer to have a double mastectomy. And she got depressed on me first season. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to man up and honor my wife, or was I going to hire somebody to take care of her? And I made a decision to take care of her. And I resigned with the intentions of going back. And that was my brain changer moment. That's why we titled the book, The Brain Changer, right? Because I had to change the way I saw things. And I didn't realize at that moment, Mitzi, how selfish I was as a man. Like, I was 44 years old and I was lost because my title couldn't save me, right? Even though I was this amazing leader, supposedly, right? Had money in the bank, our house was paid off, the Corvette, all that stuff. It didn't mean anything because it wasn't going to save my wife. So it really brought me to my knees, and God grabbed the hold of me, and the rest was history.
Great title for a podcast, Blessings.
Thank you. Yes, I love it.
What a great meditation.
We are here to learn in the spirit of life.
I'm all about believe. You're about spreading blessings. It's great.
What about your blessings? What's the biggest blessing of life?
What a great question.
Because it's the Blessings podcast, I have to ask you, what is your biggest lesson in life?
My biggest lesson in life.
A whole lot of conversations with people about life and how those things manifest as blessings and lessons, and sometimes both.
It's my connection.
You're going to get schooled.
The journey is the journey.
What you and me are searching for are the blessings in this life.
Remember the reality of how sweet people are.
Spread blessings around the world.
You are the most remarkable energy. You make me pause, make me excited, make me think, and make me spontaneously come up with an answer. This is another one of those great moments in time in my life. Thank you for reaching out to ask if I would do the show.
Welcome back to the Blessings podcast, my friends. My guest today is Daniel Gomez. Daniel is a beacon of inspiration in a world where people need to learn how to believe in their potential. He knows that anything is possible with the right perspective, and he has devoted his life to opening doors of hope, courage, and strength, and inviting thousands of people to step through. He's the author of The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, a book that was published to give people the right approach, the right attitude, and the right heart in becoming a millionaire God's way, which I love, so that people don't self-implode and self-destruct in the process, because it can be rough trying to reach those goals. So we're going to talk about that today. Daniel is an award-winning motivational keynote speaker, a business coach, a corporate trainer, an executive coach, and Podcast of the Year recipient. He speaks and coaches at events all over the world, and we are very blessed to have him here with us today. Welcome, Daniel Gomez, to Blessings.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here with you, my dear friend, and I'm excited just to add value to your audience and just to spend time with you and just connect. So thank you for having me today.
You're so kind. You just have such a light about you that it's wonderful to be here with you as well. So thanks. All right,
Thank you.
I'm going to start out with something big. What is something unexpected that happens when you embrace your higher power?
Oh, people ain't gonna like this. The test, the test comes. As a matter of fact, before we came onto the show, I was telling you we had a heat case, right? And it seems like when that big next level comes, when your light gets brighter and you're ready to be promoted in life and in business, there's always a test called a problem that's going to come to you. That's going to make sure you're going to pass, be able to handle the next level of success. Everybody wants that next level of business. Everybody wants that next level of revenue. And the thing is is that you have to change even more than what you think you have to. And what I mean by that is right? I had to come to the realization of this, that Daniel, you have a lot to do with what happens to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have a lot to do with what happens to you. But the thing is the only way we can continue to evolve and grow is it's those adversities that come that show you where you need to change to be able to handle that next level of life and business within yourself. And it's hard because sometimes we don't think there's nothing wrong with me, right? I'm good. But no, like when you go, I have this saying, when you go higher, there's always a deeper that has to happen within inside of you, because the deeper is the foundation. If not, like you said, people self implode. And how do you get stronger? How do you get better? Through the mental fortitude and the fire you go through that has to, right, re strengthen you by going through that problem you have to go to.
I love that, because what I'm visualizing as you're talking is the tree, and as it's getting taller, the roots are spreading under the ground, and that in order for those roots to spread, there has to be some sort of a catalyst that causes that growth to happen. And that often in our lives, that is a test. That's something that feels in the moment like it might be negative, but then ultimately we learn from it and we figure out, oh, that was actually for my highest good that happened.
Yes. And like an example, our business has grown tremendously, and I'm grateful to God for it. But I'm the visionary, right? I'm the creative. Go sell. But then what happens is, as you're going 100 miles an hour this way, you still got customers behind you that maybe have questions. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give an example, right? So I just came back from Denver, and because of a problem we had to one of our customers, for them, right? To me, it wasn't a problem, but what was happening is I'm going to these events. Somebody pays me $1,000 for this course, or they put a deposit on book publishing for 2,500. And then they're like, Daniel took my money and left. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm traveling back to San Antonio, Texas. I got another event. So they wouldn't hear from me. We'll just say an example this past weekend. I got a deposit Friday. It's the 7th. And I don't hear from Daniel till the 11th or 12th. I haven't heard from Daniel in a long time. In reality, for me, it's only been 4 or 5 days. It's not that long. But to them that doesn't really know me, they just met me at an event. It's been a long time, perception to them. So because of that, for me, opening my heart for the next level of business, we hired a customer service specialist, which we've never had. So now what happened, in Denver, we onboarded a couple of new authors of ours through our book publishing. So we have it, right? We have a carbon copy. We give them a carbon copy now. And then second, I send that form through email to my customer service specialist. Now she uploads it to our CRM. Now she sends them a professional welcome letter, an onboarding call. So the lady came back to me and she goes, I'm impressed. I'm like, what happened? She goes, I got y'all's email. I'm like, oh, from Stephanie. She's, yeah. But it made her feel important. It validated that we're not just there at events selling and not backing up what we're doing, because people have been burned before, like myself. And it's just the next level of business in customer service that people are, I don't want to say they're demanding, but if you're going to succeed to the next level in today's business market, you gotta stand out. And I'll tell you, I should have hired a customer service a long time ago. In my mind, we didn't need it.
But I love that it was revealed to you, and it was a situation that you could have taken offense or been defensive, but instead you looked at yourself and said, oh, what can I do differently to change this perception and improve my business at the same time? And now you've not only made things better for that one customer who was complaining, but you've made things better for every customer moving forward, and also established a firm foundation of trust that moving forward you have automatically, which is going to be so cool. I love that.
But this is the irony. I wasn't even, because of this, right? We've been doing this process, this onboarding call, whether you buy a book, whether you buy our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, whether you buy our Millionaire Mind Bootcamp, all these things are high ticket. They're over $2,500 is what I call high ticket. Because of this process, just organically, they're coming back. We had 3 clients, actually 4, come back and spend another 3,000 or 4,000 with us because of that.
Yeah.
Because they felt heard, they felt important. And I was like, I should have been doing this a long time ago.
But it is so cool how those things are revealed to us along the way. And that's how we naturally grow as entrepreneurs. Yes. So tell me how this all started for you. Where did you grow up?
So behind me is our city, San Antonio, Texas. That's a real tree, by the way. That's my baby. It's 35 feet tall in our atrium. But the thing is that I was born and raised in San Antonio. I was in automotive, ran a Chevrolet dealership for over 20 years. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017, and that's where the pathway changed in my life, that God got a hold of me. And she made a decision because she was stage 3 breast cancer to have a double mastectomy. And she got depressed on me first season. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to man up and honor my wife, or was I going to hire somebody to take care of her? And I made a decision to take care of her. And I resigned with the intentions of going back. And that was my brain changer moment. That's why we titled that the book, The Brain Changer, right? Because I had to change the way I saw things. And I didn't realize at that moment, Mitzi, that how selfish I was as a man. Like I was 44 years old and I was lost because my title couldn't save me, right? Even though I was this amazing leader, supposedly, right? Had money in the bank, our house was paid off, the Corvette, all that stuff. It didn't mean anything because it wasn't going to save my wife. So it
Yeah.
really brought me to my knees, and God grabbed the hold of me, and the rest was history. In that first 3 months, when my wife had 3 major surgeries, I was at home with her, taking care of her, and that's where the epiphany came of God just downloaded it. I want you to be a motivational speaker, and all the beautiful people around me, of course, they supported me. No, they didn't. They laughed at me and said, "You're gonna be a motivational speaker? You know how many Mexican motivational speakers there are?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I believe God." And 7 years later, we're laughing because we have the last laugh because we're $1 million business. We help people all around the world. And now we're really building a team to the next level. And I'm excited for what's coming up in 2025.
We as a humanity need motivation, don't we?
Yes. There's a sense, every human being, I don't care who you are, every human being has a sense of belonging. So they're motivated to find out, where can I belong? Where can I fit in? Because people feel lonely, they feel empty, and then they try to fill that void with alcohol, with food, with sex, with whatever it is that they want to fill that, whether it's shopping. And then, but this is the irony of it, right? Everybody wants to belong to something, but then they find something to belong to, and then this is what they say: "Oh, I don't belong there," because it's something that they're not used to. Because there's many people, including myself, if you've never really been loved before, it's hard to really accept real love because you deflected by default, because you've been hurt, you've been burned, and most of us, I wouldn't want to say most of us, but many of us in life in America, we've been betrayed, talked about, gossiped about. So we have this natural inclination of, you want to be loved, but then somebody gets so close to you that automatically you push them away.
Yeah. That sense of belonging really is a common theme among everyone. It's a point where we can all unite. Everyone needs to have that sense of feeling seen. We all want that. And because we have different points of view, what makes me feel seen might be different from what makes someone else feel seen. And that's why what you do is so important, because you do have a way of helping people to understand how to connect with one another at that level of individuality, especially since you're such a master of sales and training. So let's talk a little bit about that part of your life and how you achieve success. So you were very successful in the automotive sales industry. And then you transitioned and took all the knowledge you had and transitioned into making this your own business. Was that a big jump for you, working from someone else to working for yourself?
I had a small nest egg when I started the business, and my intentions were, if I need it, it's there. But I never relied on that. The season that I want people to hear this, because so many of us in entrepreneurship, we make so many excuses. We have reasoning with our own thinking, and we try to justify why we can't do something. My wife was stage 3 breast cancer, double mastectomy, depressed when I started my business. Let me say it again: double mastectomy, stage 3 breast cancer, depressed when I started my business. I had 3 major excuses not to start my business, Mitzi.
Yeah.
In spite of those 3 major things, I committed to starting it. And I think most people don't commit to the level they should commit. So because they lack the commitment up front, that's why they fail on the back end, because they don't really commit all in. they have a plan B, and in this business, you can't have a plan B. You
Burn
got
all
to
the
be all
boats.
in.
Yep, you
Yeah.
do. And I think the interesting thing about your situation too is that you had to trade more security in that other job, but that would have caused big instability in your household and for your wife. So in order for you to be the anchor and that like stable force for your wife, you had to cause instability in the other part of your life. But you realize that in the long run, this is going to be better for everyone in the family. And so you had a strong sense of why, a strong sense of purpose. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is as an entrepreneur, your sense of purpose?
Yeah, because when my why at the moment was to just my wife to live, to see her through that. So as a man, as a Mexican Hispanic man, my pride was there in a good way to be like, I can't fail because like my family, my son had just started Texas State University. I had a nut of $25,000 that I had to spend for one semester. We had the second semester coming up. What was I going to tell my son? Oh, your daddy's not manning up. He's making every excuse. So I'm going to have to pull you out of school. That's what most people would have done. But I had to find a way. So the thing is this is you have to have resolve. You have to have grit in business as to succeed in entrepreneurship and any type of business venture. You have to have grit because it's not going to look the way you think it's going to look. And the purpose behind that fuel was my family, was my wife. And right, it sounded good. I'm going to be a motivational speaker, but the truth is this: when I started, I stunk. Like I had a natural ability to inspire and to motivate because I trained at the dealership for many years. We had our sales team, but to do it professionally, it's like Michael Jordan when he tried to be a baseball player, right? He could hit the bat, but to be in the major leagues, you got to practice in the batting cages, right? So I had to put myself in the batting cages of speaking, and the determination came because I had to rely on my family was relying on me, and instead of making excuses every step of the way, I just challenged myself. In my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, the green one back there, I talk about breaking wine glasses. I talk about beating up the recycle bin. Like these are actual things that I did as a grown man at 44, 45, 46. Like I beat up the recycle bin because you get so frustrated. Everybody talks about, oh, get out of your comfort zone. And yeah, it sounds great when you say it, but when you're actually doing it, it sucks. And it hurts, right? Because you don't know what's going on. You feel uncomfortable, you feel stretched, you feel irritated, there's an unsettlement, but these are things that you're going through, and then the frustration of why is this happening to me? Because this is part of the process. It's
Yeah.
part of what you prayed for, Daniel. And most business owners, they want it to be easy. Oh, it's going to be from A to B, no problems at all. It's going to be amazing. No, you're going to have to grow as an individual.
Yeah, because it's under pressure where we create diamonds.
Yes.
How would you like to get the best text of your life? This is your sign that it's time to add something powerful to your morning routine that sets you up for success and reminds you that you are worthy and makes you unstoppable. It's a motivational text message from me, a real human. I am Mitzi Campbell, a mindset specialist, and I know that it is possible for you to live the life of your dreams. My morning motivational text messages help you up-level your mindset, your happiness, and your success. Sign up for a 2-week free trial at yourpositivemoment.com and change your life today. Join the movement so we can all thrive together. yourpositivemoment.com.
What you're saying is really interesting to me because I have a tremendous amount of respect for the traditional male masculine role in the family, and the fact that you're talking about how you had to step up. You are the man, you're the patriarch of the family, and your wife is sick and your son needs you. And that I think is very admirable in a person. And also I think societal pressure on the man to be that person, it can be a lot. And I love how you're talking about the idea of letting your frustrations out. If you have to go out there and punch the recycling bin or go out and
Yeah.
break a glass, so be it. But it doesn't take away the responsibility and, the need to provide those things for your family. And you weren't about to give up. You had what you called grit. And I know there have
Yeah.
been a lot of interesting things written about the idea of grit. Is that something that you see in people that they don't have? What do you think about the role of grit in society today?
I think it's lacking. I think people want to microwave everything and have overnight success. And as a matter of fact, we were here last week, and my client specialist, Esther, she was talking to a potential client, a prospect, and I had spoken to him, and he just made every excuse. My dad has this. I said, hey, man, I understand. I said, my mother-in-law passed away of dementia. My wife would drive up to Del Rio every single month. I said, so what's your excuse? You either want the dream or you don't want the dream. And because he doesn't have the grit, right? The problem is this: when you don't have grit, in Spanish, we call this corazón, right? If you don't have corazón, if you don't have heart, then you're going to start, you're going to stop. You're going to start, you're going to stop. And the person that never stops, the Daniel Gomez's, the Mitzi's of the world, that just keep going despite the adversity, despite the deaths in the family, despite the heartbreaks, despite whatever else comes your way, you're going to be further along, even though you may not be as good than somebody who's more talented than you, because in a year's time, you never stopped. You just started one time, you kept going. As to somebody who has that talent and they stop in January, they stop in February. Oh, my daughter got sick. I like every excuse, like, brother, sister, at the end of the day, if you work at the United States Air Force, if somebody's dead, if somebody gets sick, you still got to show your butt up in Afghanistan. You still got to show your tail up. So what's your excuse? But people just want the easy way out because they want to be an entrepreneur on their computer at Starbucks. Oh, I lived a life. No. And then they're broke.
Yeah. I think it's interesting what you're saying. The idea of taking ownership, the idea of taking control and taking action. But I wonder how you can explain how people can have a balance between being in control of your destiny and being the driver and the driving force in that, and also at the same time letting Jesus take the wheel, like leaving it up to the creator too. So what's the balance? What should you do? How do you do that?
That's easy, right? Like, perfect example. I got my calendar right here, right? The X's are the days done. The highlighted are meetings and clients. Everyone has their own code. But the truth is this: even though I have my days planned up to, right, 10th, 11th, this week is this week, Daniel has his plan. But if God says, okay, Daniel, I love your plans for today, for this week, my plan's going to overlay your plan today. You okay, son? And I've learned to accept that instead of fighting it. So when you have a flat tire, when something happens and a client cancels on you, when somebody doesn't show up for something, it's okay, God. That means there's a divine appointment coming somewhere. And guess what usually happens, Mitzi?
It's better than you expected.
Yeah, because I've learned not to fight it. Like before, I would get irritated, like, oh man, this person got flaked out. And I'm like, you know what? Great. My coaching session didn't show up, or this client that was supposed to call me, you know what, God? Thank you. Or just somebody just shows up at the office, and I've learned not to be frustrated because it's a blessing. There's always a blessing. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. There's always a blessing in the disturbance. You have to allow yourself to be disturbed a little bit, especially when it's a God intention disturbed. A good example is I'll give it to you. Let me paint the picture another way.
Okay.
I have learned when something goes wrong. Like I just came back from a trip that I had, and I got this bill from Budget, and I'm like, hey, I didn't have my card. I turned my car in on this other day. So I've learned when that happens, okay, there's probably somebody on the customer service line that God wants me to pray with. So I just call, and I'm not as easily frustrated as I used to be of, oh man, they messed up on my bill again, and this is BS, and I can't believe them, and right, go off on this tangent, being a little kid, not being the adult Daniel, being the little kid Daniel, because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, as a grown adult, whether you're a man or woman, you make most of your decisions as the kid you were. And most of us let that kid run our life, that younger version of you with all those traumas you haven't dealt with. So I've learned, okay, my bill's wrong. Okay, that. Or a simple thing like our faucet froze. Oh man, it busted. You know what? I'm going to go to Home Depot. There's probably a divine connection on somebody I need to pray with over there. So I've learned to allow God's plans to overlay my plans. I hope that was a good illustration.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to think about that the next time something like that happens and I have to make a call or straighten something out in a way that feels inconvenient to me. It's because I need to connect with the person somehow on the other end in some way, that there's going to be something that I don't understand that's happening. That's really cool. Why do you think people believe they can't be rich?
Because their society, we're trained that way. I just had a big training in Denver and we had a mastermind there with 50 people. And we played this game and I'm like, okay, we have people from the West Coast, East Coast, North, South, Canada. I said, I'm going to start it. You're going to finish it. Fair enough. They're like, all right, we're in. And it's amazing how when I start to saying money doesn't grow on trees, who do you think you
are?
The early bird gets the
worm.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Words will never hurt me.
You knew 99% of the stuff. How? Right. I've never met you in person, but you've been indoctrinated and hardwired to think in poverty. You've been trained to think in lack. And because of that, the biggest belief that I think that stops most people is this, is you fall into the belief of two major beliefs that really hinder you. You believe you want to be a good human being, and you believe because you want to be a good human being, you can't be rich, because a good human being is usually somebody without money. And if you're rich, you're somehow a bad person because you got the money the wrong way.
Did your family have money when you were growing up?
No. In my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, I talk about how I used to eat cereal with water and how I'm tired of bologna because all I ate was freaking bologna as a kid. Like Kool-Aid and bologna, like
Kool-Aid, that went a long way, didn't it?
Yeah. We were so poor, we didn't even have Kool-Aid. We had Flavor Aid.
Oh.
I think Kool-Aid.
In my family, we had that too.
I think Kool-Aid was 35 cents and the Flavor Aid was like 10 or 15 cents a packet. So I said, we can buy 2 Flavor Aids for 1 Kool-Aid. So let's go with the Flavor Aid.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. You once told me a story related to that palm tree that you have in your atrium. And I want you to retell the story. It was something about maybe you were working for a nursery and you realized people were paying a lot of money for these plants. And it turned your view of wealth and what that meant and what was possible around. Can you tell us that story, please?
Yes. As a kid, as a kid, when I was 18 years old, I got my first full-time job, graduated, and it was at a horticulturist. It turns out that 30 years later, God brought me to the same building, to the plants outside. I would water these plants. But as a horticulturist, we would go into these prominent buildings like this one, banks, hotels, but we would do this neighborhood called the Dominion. It was brand new in San Antonio 30 to 5 years ago. George Strait lives there. David Robinson lives there. And all these multimillionaires live there. And going into this neighborhood, it was like, wow, like these houses were massive. And I remember one summer, there was a drought in San Antonio, but the guy that we took care of his house, inside his interior plants, his water bill was like $5,000. I'm like, man, he goes, Daniel, whatever it takes to have a green lawn, I'm okay with it. But it just showed me a different way of thinking. And then as I was there and I started just getting to know the people, because that was my route going into the Dominion, I remember this one customer was there, and that's when I really started getting my sales aspect of what I was doing. I said, you need something right there that looks bare, because these houses have 30-foot ceilings. And I'm like, it, you need something to fill that corner. Why do you say that, Daniel? I said, Miss Gravel down the street just bought a plant. It looks nice in her. And I realized it doesn't matter what level of life you're in, there's always competition. She's like, show me that plant. So I'm like, all right, this is a plant. She goes, can you send me a bid on it? This was back in the day of fax machines. So I get back to the office. I told Mike, hey, sir, somebody wants to buy this plant. He goes, fill it out. I'm like, okay. So I didn't think nothing of it, did the form. And I'm like, Mike, this thing's $10,000, man. He's Daniel, send the paper. I'm like, Mike, this thing is this palm tree with this gainy ceramic container is $10,000. He goes, Daniel, send the paper. Yes, sir. So I faxed it over there. Not hello and behold, 20 minutes later, Daniel, you got to fax it here at the office. I went there. I'm like, Mike, this lady signed this thing. She goes, yeah, people buy those. Turn it in, forget about it. Next thing you know, like 2 or 3 months had passed, and Mike, which is the owner, he was like a father figure to me. He goes, hey, what happened with that palm tree? I'm like, it's there. I'm watering it. Why? He goes, no, you never turned in your slip for that. I said, slip for what? He goes, you get paid for that. I'm like, for what? He goes, you sold that palm tree at $10,000. I do. And I was thinking like, I don't know, 25, $50. He goes, you get paid 5% on that, Daniel.
Wow.
$500? He goes, yeah. I'm like, after that, I was a selling Mexican fool. Everywhere I would go, I'm like, you have an empty spot there? You need something in that corner. I got so good at suggestive selling because I just knew the psychology behind it, because I would see how these rich people would act, these wealthy people. Because the truth is this, is when you buy something because you want it, if it makes you feel good, you're going to pay it. But if you don't have the money to do it, you're going to find every excuse not to do it. And I say that because even just this past weekend, I went and spent on $100 and something on interior plants. Why? Because I love plants. I love the way plants look in my home. It gives it a different feel, a different vibe. And I'm a plant person. But I realized that there's people out there, different brackets. And I'll never forget this one. Going back out to the Dominion one, the last time before I left, David Robinson was a Spur, right? All-Star center. I would drive into his house. He had this little atrium inside his house, but inside of his house, he had his big old basketball shoes. And then his son was little at the time, had his little shoes, but they were there and the shoes. And I'm like, man, like just envisioning, like, how cool would it be to have your kids' shoes like that? And I'm walking out, leaving, and he's driving up in his Ferrari and just like seeing all these optics. But I didn't realize that God, in his grace, when I had no idea what the heck was going on, was priming the pump, planting these visuals in me, being in a Dominion, seeing these mansions, seeing these cars, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? These people are good people. I remember this one gentleman, he would be like, Daniel, you hungry? I'm like, I'm good, sir. Well, whatever you want, get something to eat. I'm like, all right. And like rich people are not bad people. It's just that they just did something to succeed. They weren't crazy enough. They believed in their dreams. And it's easy to make excuses, but it comes a time when you really got to say, it's me that needs to change. And even now, I'm still changing. Like I'm celebrating myself because yesterday I had my first Super Bowl alcohol free in over 30 years. In over 30 years.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yes. Thank you. I received that. And like I feel better than ever. But Daniel still needs to change in so many ways. And I'm embracing the change because in order for the result to change, the input must change. And if you're not changing the input, you're going to get the same thing all the time.
Yep, that's right. And if you have resentment for wealth, you're never going to be wealthy. It's very interesting. And I think that's often an excuse people use to justify why they're not able to achieve their dreams or have the success that they really truly want deep in their heart.
Yeah. If you're jealous and envious of other successes, then you're never going to be successful. I don't care who you are, right? If you're a young entrepreneur and you're hating and you're gossiping or complaining or just talking smack about people, you're never going to be successful because you're putting out the wrong energy.
Yep.
And I can honestly tell you that when I started in 2018, like I had a lot of insecurities, right? God was healing me and working through me. And I can look back and tell you times in my first year of business that I was jealous of other people and I wouldn't celebrate them. And even though I had success by God's grace, the more I really started celebrating other people and really trying to be happy for other people and really help my customers succeed, then our revenue just quadrupled. And I'm still learning that, right? Even though we have reached numbers that 95% of businesses will never reach. But even though we reached it, I still want to change. I still want to grow because there's another level of people to help. And business is beautiful and it's never, I don't want to say it's hard, but it requires you to grow. And sometimes in that maturity stage, in that fire that you're in, like you're saying, that pressure with diamonds, the only way you're going to go from, everybody wants to go from 1 million to 5 million or 10 million. The only way you're going to get from 1 million to 5 or 10 million is you're going to have to go through the fire. You're going to become that diamond in business. Just to say, we're no better. If you have it easy in the front end, it's going to be tough as crap in the back end. And that's why when you read what you read, to give you the right heart, the right attitude, so you don't self-implode. How many people have you known, Mitzi, that have had success and you're like, where did so-and-so go? What happened to so-and-so? Because they reached that level of success of revenue and they didn't feel they deserved it. They felt unworthy. The shame, the guilt set in, or they just didn't have the proper foundation. And then next thing you know, they're out of business within a year or two. I've seen it over and over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's so interesting to watch. And the life of an entrepreneur is not easy, but very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been successful my whole life. And I say that in humility. That guy, Mike Senef, he at the plant company, he taught me a lot of good morals, right? He was a Christian. I had no idea that God was sending me it was a company called Plant Interscapes back in the day. Like God put the right foundation within Daniel. But I can honestly tell you, since I've been 23 years old, I've been successful because in everything I've done, I've succeeded. And when you're a success, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to succeed. But you are going to be tried and you are going to be tested. Why? Because in the word of God in Jeremiah 17:10, it says this, not the devil's attacking you. The Jeremiah 17 says, I, the Lord, I search the heart. I test the mind to give every man or woman according to their doings. And if your heart's not right, and if you're failing the test in your mind, if you're failing the test that God's given you, then you're not going to be promoted because he can't trust you. If I can't trust you with $100, how can I trust you with 1,000? I ain't gonna give. If I can't trust you with 1,000, you sure ain't gonna get 10,000. And that's the way it works. People don't understand that.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
Mm.
So, what would you say are the biggest lessons that you've learned in your life?
Mine,
Yeah.
I think really to put God first in business. Like that's been in my life to really make God the CEO of my life. He's not just he's the CEO of Daniel Gomez Enterprises. If you go to my LinkedIn account, it says I'm the president. Those of you that remember Clubhouse back in the day, if you go to my Clubhouse, it says God is my CEO. But when I really made God the CEO and put God, family, and then business last, and I don't want to take credit for that. God led me to this one lady named Danny Johnson, right? She was homeless to millionaire back in the day. And I read her book. Scott, somebody, I recommend y'all read that book, Spirit Driven Success. It talks about how when putting God, then family, then business, like her business succeeded. And she helped me get the blueprint to where now I teach that because it helped me. I see the fruit of my business. So I think if you're putting business, then family, then God, you're not going to win. If you put family, God, then business, you're not going to win. It has to be God, family, then business. And it doesn't make sense. So let me give you an example. People say, how do you do that? Great question. The old Daniel would be here at his computer. His son will walk in. Hey, son, what's going on? Hey, dad. All right, I'm busy. My son would get home from school, run upstairs as a teenager. Hey, dad, how you doing? Just to say hi to his old man. And his dad was too busy on the computer. That's putting work before kids.
Yeah.
And when God really convicted me of that, it's like scenario number 2, my son would run up the stairs. Hey, dad, dad's busy. Hey, son, how you doing? How was your day? And really just give him 5 minutes of your time. distracted from work, undistracted from work. And that's honoring your kids, honoring your wife. And how many of us, we ignore our kids and we wonder why our kids are on drugs, overweight, not paying attention to us because we ignore them. And if the parents, too many, there's too many people trying to be an influencer and they can't even influence their own kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can say by God's grace, I've been able to influence my kids to become better human beings. Like my son's just like me. I'm so proud of him. He just bought his new house here 2 weeks ago, and he's coachable, he's teachable. And that's so much the material things, right? It's just the fact that he's God's blessing him because he's a good human being. People, that's the part that people miss. Like, it's okay to have nice things as long as nice things don't have you.
Yeah. It's all about the person that you are on the inside. And you're making me think that the idea of putting God first means that you're able to live in the present moment. You're able to really be present.
Yeah, and I think in that moment, take ownership of your stuff, take ownership and accountability.
Yeah.
I've learned to be more like yourself. I learned to be more appreciative of you. You didn't have to invite me to your show, but I think so many times our ego gets in the way or our pride, and we don't even see it because they're like, "Whoa, I'm so and so, and I got 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers or 100,000." Who cares? It doesn't make you better than anybody. I know people that have this one guy. I was like, "Bro, you're gonna pay your invoice?" Well, with the 100,000 followers you got, I figured you have revenue. So people like your audience, the world needs to understand just because you have all these followers, whether they're fake or real on Instagram, on whatever, it doesn't mean that it's followers don't always convert. I would say 90% of the time they don't convert into revenue.
Yeah.
But people have the illusion of that. And I'm like, dude, pay your bills, man. Come on. And it's just the truth, right? And so people can't be deceived by the perception of because you have all these followers that somebody's successful and they're not. Like, just be you. Just do Daniel. Just do Mitzi. Just do Ryan. Just do Brittany. Whoever's out there watching this, just be you. And trust me, in that authentic self and being you, God can bless that. God can't bless a fake.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's good. That's powerful. So where can people find you, Daniel?
In San Antonio. No.
Online.
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, they're all coming to your house.
So my brand is Daniel Gomez Inspires. We love people. So you can go on Instagram, you can go on Facebook and LinkedIn, Daniel Gomez Inspires. Just Google us, all our stuff will come up. And what I want to do for your audience is give them a free gift, right? We have our brand, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. We have $1 million PDF that we want to give out. All they got to do is text out the word millionaire, right? No hyphens, no nothing, just millionaire, small case, to 210-942-5059. That's 210-942-5059. And we're going to send them a nice high quality PDF for them. And then what I want to do for your audience is bless them with a complimentary 30-minute discovery session. Just mention this amazing podcast with Mitzi and put it on the subject. Just put Mitzi Campbell and you'll get a 30-minute complimentary discovery session. And just email me at danielgomezspeaker.com. That's daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. And it's no gimmick. Like I realize when you give to people, you can't outgive God. And you can't, it's always reciprocated in ways you never imagined. I never thought I'd be having the life that I have right now, surrounded with the beautiful people that I have. And that's because even though I thought I was giving, I'm learning to be even more generous.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mitzi, for having me.
Oh, thank you. And you never know who might be listening, who might just need that prayer that you were talking about earlier.
Yes. Even I need help. We all need it. There's always just days where things are going to be testing you. And it's not that it's always not easy, but it's just, there's always an opportunity for us to grow and not just grow, but mature in character. And I think in this last season in 2024, man, I did a lot of maturing because it hurt. Everybody wants that next level, but growth is going to be painful. And I want to end with this. If God can take stinky old smelly mold, and turn it into penicillin that heals the body, what can God not do in your life if you give him space and grace to move in it? Mm-hmm. If God can take stinky mold and turn it into penicillin that heals your body, What can God not do for you if you allow him into your life?
Beautiful. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Mitzi. Thank you for having me, everybody. God bless y'all.
Hey, everybody still listening, will you go give a 5-star review to this podcast? Mitzi puts in so much effort and so much love into this. She's brilliant. She deserves it. So I am going to go right now. By the way, by the time you hear this and you go give your 5-star review, you should be able to go find my 5-star review of this podcast. But I just want to thank you for what you're doing.